Alright, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin's death cross, and then after that we're going to talk about Nvidia's new cards that will be coming out shortly and what happened at the GTC 2018 Nvidia. So anybody that doesn't know what a death cross is, it originated as a stock market term for when the short-term EMA crosses below the long-term EMA, so it sort of makes a cross situation. It's not really actually like a cross like this, but really just crosses each other over. And when that happens, usually there are really bad times. So right now, we're looking at a big crypto dip, as we all know by now. And what makes this dip a little bit different is not really necessarily that it dipped more or less than other dips that have occurred in Bitcoin, as it has always came back from them, but this time is a little different. Everything is down. That means Google searches for Bitcoin is down, volume on exchanges is down, liquidity is down to some degree, and the price of Bitcoin is down. So when all that volume drops on the exchanges and interest is being lost with cryptocurrency because a lot of people bought in the high teens of Bitcoin and now feeling a little burned by all the fraud, scams, and the huge price drop. And so really the sentiment of crypto right now is pretty low and won't recover until the price recovers as well. So let's read into this article here. Bitcoin risks entering a technical death cross soon, but the bearish signal will likely not be as severe as has been made out in reports. So a death cross occurs when the 50-day moving average cuts the 200-day moving average from above bearish crossover, indicating a long-term bear market going forward. As soon as seen on the Bitcoin daily chart below, the 50-day MA looks set to dip below the 200-day MA imminently. As you can see, this is where the cross is going to occur. So it doesn't have anything to do with any kind of religious cross in that sort of shape, but rather it's just two lines that are moving somewhat parallel, will cross over each other at some point. So now, some strategists are saying that the death cross could yield a big sell-off in Bitcoin, possibly to as low as $2,800, a level last seen in September. However, such fears are likely overstated, as the crossover tends to work as a contrarian indicator. That is, they tend to occur at the end of a big bear move, with prices rallying soon after. So further, it takes a great amount of effort on the part of the bears to push the 50-day MA below the 200-day MA. For instance, Bitcoin turned lower from the $20,000 mark in mid-December when the 50 MA was still rising. The moving average adopted a bearish bias to begin sloping downwards toward the 200-day MA after Bitcoin fell to $6,000 on February 6th. Since then, Bitcoin has created lower highs around $11,700 and $9,177, and the 50-day MA has slowly closed in on the 200-day MA. To cut a long story short, Bitcoin has had to drop by 14,000 from 20,000 to 6,000 approximately to push the 50-day MA so far towards the 200-day MA. Hence, it's likely that the bears will run out of steam by the time the actual death cross occurs. In fact, it could end up being a bear trap, at least in some short term, and the historical data seems to support the argument as explained below. So don't sell just now, just keep buying. Everything's okay. Always look at things very positively. If the price is going up, hey, all right, then your portfolio is worth more. And if the price is going down, well, then it's a great time to buy. It's a nice fire sale of cheap crypto. So just use that DCA, that dollar cost averaging. That means you just put in, let's say, whatever you can afford. Let's say you get paid every week. So you put in 50 bucks into Bitcoin every week. And so when Bitcoin's at 10,000, you get so many shares. And when Bitcoin's at $5,000, you get twice the shares. So it's $50 every time you get paid, or on whatever particular schedule that you can afford. And that's DCA. That's usually the safest form of investing. There is also lump sum investing, where you just put all your money in at once. However, let's say you put in all your money at once. If you got $1,000 or something like that, you put it all in at 5,000, and the price goes all the way down to 3,000. Uh-oh, that wasn't good. So DCA would have been a better approach to that. So lump sum is really great, and it can be the most profitable for sure, inarguably. However, you need to find the absolute bottom, as you can see in these charts, to actually invest that lump sum in. Otherwise, then you missed out quite a good dip. So here's another article on that. Bitcoin has gone bust, tumbling down below 8,000 this week. There's something in the charts that could have investors hitting the panic button. Bitcoin's charts show the cryptocurrency is nearing a death cross. The term is used to describe the crossover of the 50-day and the longer-term 200-day moving average. More specifically, it's used to illustrate when the 50-day moving average moves below the 200-day, as we already said before. So this is a CNBC article, and again, CNBC is never really particularly good at talking about Bitcoin, but either way. So in Bitcoin's case, the 50-day moving average has already taken out the 100-day average, with the shorter-term trend line inching lower. When we are talking about Bitcoin, I think it's important to remember that we don't have much history to go off to identify long-term trends. Which Jim Lorio wrote to CNBC on Wednesday. That being said, anytime the 50-day crosses the 200-day, it should flash a warning. And when you couple that with the fact that Bitcoin has been trending steadily lower since the launch of futures, I think that is a major negative, he added. But not everyone believes that a death cross marks more pain ahead for Bitcoin. Fast money trader Brian Kelly points out that he sees an uptrend in the chart of Bitcoin that has been in place since August, and he thinks that the same uptrend could actually be just as indicative of where Bitcoin is headed. Bitcoin, just like the spot markets, follows technicals closely. Therefore, the supports levels gain more important. He wrote to CNBC, if these levels hold, then it will continue. The uptrend from August is still valid. The last time the death cross pattern occurred for Bitcoin was in September 2015, after the death cross Bitcoin rallied close to $500 by early November that year from around 230. So here's a little poll down here that some people made. I voted yes, because that's what I thoroughly believe. Can Bitcoin make a comeback? And as you can see, a lot of people think no. So that just goes to show, once again, the sentiment of Bitcoin is pretty low right now. And even across media outlets like social media and YouTube, views have fallen drastically since December highs of Bitcoin. That's because everybody's Googling it, everybody's looking for ways to make money with it. And then as soon as the price goes down, nobody really cares about it anymore. But people should be caring about it, because this is the time when you should be buying Bitcoin. So another article here says all hell will break loose. So CEO predicts Bitcoin price will boom return this year. So mainstream financial analysts might be fixated on Bitcoin's so-called death cross and what it might mean for the flagship cryptocurrency moving forward. But Abra CEO Bill Barheit believes that another rally is just around the corner. So Barheit, who once designed trading systems for Goldman Sachs, told Business Insider that hedge funds and other institutions are beginning to see crypto assets as a huge opportunity, and that all hell will break loose once they begin investing in the nascent markets. So this article is really just about basically how institutional interest in Japan is really high. It's already starting to pick up, and a lot of money is moving forward in Japan. But there really is zero large-scale institutional money from the West in crypto right now. So this is happening in Japan. Once a large, sizable chunk of Western institutional money starts to come in, watch out. So that's up and around the corner soon. I remember that there was a lot of news that Wall Street was, sort of going to get into it around November/December, and it never really happened for the most part. But when they do, they have more money than all of us. Trust me on that. So now moving on, Nvidia's upcoming lineup will be called GeForce GTX 1100 series, with the 10 series now out of stock. So let me talk about this before we get into it. So there are two reportedly upcoming Nvidia GPUs. One is called the Ampere series, and one is called the Turing series. And I've heard many, many conflicting reports on all of these. So a lot of people think that the Turing series is going to be a crypto-only GPU. Some people think that the Turing series is going to be essentially the 1100 series. Now, it makes sense that the Turing series is going to be a crypto series because Alan Turing was a cryptographer back in the day, and so that would make entirely a lot of sense. So nobody really knows for sure if they're going to be just crypto mining GPUs or if they are going to be just simply the next series of NVIDIA cards. And Then there are the Ampere series, which some think that may be the next series cards, leaving the Turing series as just crypto mining cards. And then I've also read that the Ampere series will be essentially the new Volta series, which would be more of a enterprise level card, as opposed to just the consumer level card of the GTX series. So according to a story published exclusively by Tweaktown, Nvidia's brand new series will not be called the 20 series, rather the 1100 series. This corroborates news of a new lineup that we heard a while ago. The report also states that Nvidia is going to be launching a new line of graphics cards at GTC in a few hours. However, the GTC already happened, and they did not announce that. But I will show you guys what they did announce from that. So in a few hours, what some pubs had been stating, Anthony seems pretty confident of the launch. So assuming it happens, the next question is whether we're going to be seeing Ampere or Turing. So now that we've heard a lot of chatter about both Ampere and Turing, at this point it's anyone's guess what we will really see at GTC 28. Apparently not either one of these, let me tell you that now. So all of this rumored by the famous 3D Center forums where it all started, that the Pascal flagship, the GP102, had already been reached end of the life, indicating that not only will it be going out of stock soon, but then Nvidia already has a replacement ready. Now, this seems to be being confirmed, as the Pascal-based graphics cards are all out of stock over at Nvidia's store right now. As you can see, everything's out of stock, and it's been that way for a while. So unless Nvidia has mysteriously run out of stock at the same instance of GTC, which would be a coincidence, Nvidia is getting ready for the launch of a new series of graphics cards. So if it's to believe. Now, before we get into the entire Turing and Ampere debate, keep in mind that there is another angle that you will have to look out for during GTC at this time, the pricing. It's going to be the first instance after the mining boom that Nvidia will be launching a flagship, and the pricing is going to be set at quite a precedence. Rumors have claimed that it's going to be an exorbitantly high amount from the previous MSRP levels, where $649 for the flagship as high as $999 and even above. That said, these rumors were about Turing, the alleged brand new architecture, and if this lineup is more of a fresh refresh than a successor, then we probably aren't going to see a price hike so soon. At any rate, let's wait for a few hours and see, and we didn't see. So Nvidia Turing and Ampere, according to Reuters, a brand new Nvidia Turing GPU is launching at GTC. It is not. This means that either Nvidia is undergoing a massive rebranding campaign, or that Volta will not be making it to the consumer side of things. This in itself has interesting implications, because it could mean a couple of things, anywhere from Nvidia optimizing the architecture further to yield concerns. In any case, before we go further, a short intro into Turing. The codename Turing, of course, refers to Alan Turing, who is considered the father of modern computing, was the chief architect of the British program to break the Enigma machine encryption used by the Germans to encrypt communications during World War II. He's also the person behind the concept of the Turing machine, a hypothetical device that can simulate any algorithm regardless of how complex it is. Programming languages that can simulate this device are referred to as Turing-complete languages. So now there are two possibilities as I see them. Nvidia decided to ditch the Ampere codename because it's very similar to another company, an ARM server called Ampere. Or it decided to fork the upcoming architecture into two distinct flavors, namely Ampere and Turing. Both possibilities are just as likely, as Nvidia has been known to do that in the past, simply to discredit the leak scene. And you will remember the GeForce 800 series. The second possibility, however, is much more exciting. It could mean that Nvidia is preparing two distinct products in the consumer space, Ampere and Turing, since there have been rumors floating of a cryptocurrency-focused product from the company soon, that it could mean that the Turing GPU is actually one Nvidia will be marketing as the mining variant. This makes a semblance of sense because Alan Turing is well known for his work in cryptography. In fact, he was part of the team that cracked the Enigma machine in World War II. So if Alan's Turing's cryptographic roots are indeed being honored in this new product, then it could very well mean that Nvidia is becoming very serious about cryptocurrencies. The company has already given its customers free rein to use its GeForce GPUs in data center environments as long as they are used for blockchain mining purposes, so this wouldn't be entirely out of character. So there is that. And here's another article. Why did Nvidia delay its upcoming Turing GPU? So what's particularly discouraging is that the boom in cryptocurrency mining and Nvidia's apparent attempt to protect its business from cryptocurrency mining-related graphics card demand drying up is apparently having a big negative impact on the pace of graphics processor innovation. Indeed, according to Digitimes, Nvidia has apparently been slowing down the pace at which it develops new gaming-oriented graphics processors, which means that each generation of graphics processor stays in the market longer. So case in point, Digitimes says that Nvidia's next-generation GPU architecture for gaming, known as Turing, so the current generation architecture is known as Pascal, won't go into production until the third quarter of 2018. This means that Nvidia will have gone more than 2 years between the introduction of new gaming architectures. In this column, I'd like to explain why Nvidia would seemingly intentionally delay the introduction of new graphics processors due to currency mining. So I won't go into the rest of this, but it basically just states that because their graphics cards are worth so much money right now, they have very little incentive on making a whole new series of graphics cards, as the GTX 1050 was originally priced at about $109, and now it sells anywhere on Newegg from $165 to $200 and more dollars. So now, whenever they make more, they can just simply sell them for a higher price. So another article here, and so contrary to prior rumors and reports, Nvidia may give us a taste of its next line of graphics cards at its GPU Technology Conference, GTC. Which it unfortunately did not. Citing an anonymous source that the company will officially name its next set of graphics cards the GTX 11 series, widely expected to be the based on the in-progress NVIDIA Turing hardware architecture. This naming convention would be a big step to the left of what technology world has anticipated the company to go with. Reports and rumors leading up to this had pegged the next generation of graphics card known to be the GTX 20 series. So nobody knows what it's going to be called. Some are saying the 1100 series, some the 2000 series. And I've read many articles, that state basically the Ampere might be the next generation Volta. So those are really just super expensive cards that for companies to use for AI processing and simulation and things like that. They exist now, same way with the Quadro and the Volta. Those are all insanely expensive cards that would be great for crypto mining, but nobody would buy them because they're $8,000 or more sometimes, and just simply not really worth the money. And they're really just good for AI and simulating the weather or some kind of astronomical object or something like that floating around. So furthermore, Tweaktown's source reportedly said that the new product line won't necessarily end in 70 or 80 like we're used to. This could see Nvidia implying different numerals to its product names from what it currently does, which starts at 50 and up through 80. Well, technically, they still have 30 cards, so there is a GeForce GTX 1030, which most people just don't know about. And basically, it doesn't have any fans on it, and it's not powered. It's just a low riser card, like the old generation cards. Like if you look at like an old 32 megabyte graphics card and how they looked back then, that's what they look like, the 1030. And they're really just for a simple card to throw on your computer, just to run the graphics at best. So Tweaktown speculates that Nvidia could denote its products in increments of 5 GTX 1185. Which I hope they don't, because that could get confusing really quick. So let's talk about the GTC conference and what had happened there. Not much, to be totally honest. Everybody was hoping, and I even looked up some YouTube videos of the GTC conference and watched it for a little while. And everybody in the comments below were not happy. They all wanted to know what the new GTX series was, whether it's the Ampere or the Turing, or what the next consumer graphics card was. Instead, they talked about essentially a box of graphics cards called the DGX2. But again, it's not for the average user. It's for whole companies and supercomputing aspects. So it's a mini supercomputer, essentially, with 16 individual Tesla V100 GPUs, each with 32 gigabytes of memory. So these Tesla cards, again, they're thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're for like processing AI and simulations and supercomputing, and it costs $400,000. This is the DGX2. As you can see, the Nvidia Tesla V100 with 32 gigabytes of RAM. 16 total GPUs, so each board, so they have 2 boards essentially inside of it, each with 8 Tesla V100 graphics cards. Let's see you run your favorite games on this, huh? Can anybody say 300 frames per second? So 16 total GPUs for, I think, 2 petaflops of information, I believe. Yeah, 2 petaflops, which is unbelievable. But again, it's $400,000. My child is yelling in the background, so don't mind that. But 400 grand, and I would love to see this thing. I'm just, as soon as I see something like this, I just get curious right off the bat, and I'm like, yes, but how much could it mine? And I know somebody's in there, but like, I know somebody's out there saying, but can it run Crysis? Yes, the answer is yes. It can definitely run Crysis. However, I want to know how much it mines. Screw your Crysis. 2 Intel Xeon Platinum CPUs with 16 Tesla V100s. I'm guessing at least $1,000 a day it would make in crypto. Considering this thing is $400,000, the average GPU at the moment takes, well, when they were priced accordingly, 180 days, and even now with the prices so high and the profit so low, it's well over a year of mining that it takes to actually get the return of your graphics card. So I'm going to go with $1,000 of crypto a day, and it would take 400 days to pay this thing off. Maybe even more. I might even get something like $1,200 or $1,500 a day. Again, it's not necessarily set up for crypto mining, but you know, it would be pretty brutal on Ethereum with 32 gigabyte graphics cards each. This thing would pound out the good old algos, if you will. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Unfortunately, I don't mean it to be disappointing that Nvidia did not release their new graphics cards, and neither was in my video, but I'm just as disappointed as you guys. I want to see what the graphics cards are, but as soon as I know any more information, of course I'll be making a new video on the Turing and or Ampere graphics cards, whatever they decide to name it, and whatever they decide to get up off their ass and actually make a solid name for their next generation graphics card and stop selling $400,000. I mean, I love innovation, don't get me wrong here, but $400,000, why would they even announce this? But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.